Let's see how well free will answers a couple tough questions. Let's take the disobedience of Adam, for example, the fall of Adam, and just ask some simple questions. For example, if God knew that Adam would disobey, are we really to believe that there was no possible way for the God of the universe to have prevented his disobedience? He could not have given him a heads up and said, hey, you know what? Satan's going to come along. Don't fall for it. There's just no way that God, he couldn't have given him like visions. Like, if you do this apocalypse, this fall will happen, and look at all the terrible things you're going to cause if you disobey me. He couldn't have done that or something like that to prevent the disobedience of Adam. I'd like somebody to answer that question. I think it's pretty obvious that God could have. And if he could have and didn't, then that raises the point that maybe, just maybe, the fall was part of God's plan. Right? Plan A, not plan B. A lot of people like to shift the blame or to say that, well, the reason Adam fell was because of Satan and his deception, and Eve and so on and so forth. Well, then we could also ask, without Satan, with Satan out of the picture, would the fall still have happened? If you say no, then why did God create Satan? Right? If God could have prevented the fall by not creating Satan, why not create Satan? If you say yes, the fall still would have happened even without Satan, then that's an interesting reality. Was it then just a matter of time? Right? Given enough time, will free will always fail? I think that's an important question to ask. This brings me to the next point. People like to say that free will is necessary and required for a true relationship with God to be possible. This is so easily refuted by two things. The first thing is we're talking about Adam, so we just have to ask, what was the state of Adam prior to God placing the tree and giving the command? Right? He obviously wasn't a morally neutral zombie lumbering around the garden, brain dead. God created him. Everything was good. Right? And are you going to say that Adam did not have a relationship, a true loving relationship with God prior to God placing the tree and giving the command? And if your answer is, well, no, he did have a true relationship with God prior to the placing the tree and giving the command, then your claim that the possibility, that free will and the possibility of sin is required in order for a true relationship to be true is just refuted right on the spot. Because we can just ask the question, why did God place the tree there to begin with? Now, a lot of free will people say that God had to for this very reason. God had to place the tree there so that the possibility of evil was there, so that a true relationship could be there. But again, what was the state of the relationship of Adam and God prior to the tree? And it's pretty obvious that it wasn't some zombie state. It wasn't meaningless. It wasn't robotic or anything like that. It was a true loving relationship, regardless of whether or not a command was given, regardless of whether or not the possibility of evil was there. Second, and an even more obvious way of refuting the claim that the possibility of sin is required for a true relationship is to look forward to our glorified state in heaven for all eternity, where the Bible clearly says that the possibility of sin will be done away with. It's very interesting. I've never heard an adequate answer to, do we have free will in heaven? If free will is the idea of the possibility of sin, then will we have free will in heaven where we cannot sin? And if your answer to that question is yes, then why didn't God just create it all like that in the first place? If there exists a possible state of being where you can have this thing called free will and yet not be able to sin, why didn't God just create everybody like that from the start? Why didn't God just create everybody in a glorified state, unable to sin, but yet we all have free will and everybody lives happily ever after from the start? And this is why I find it very ironic that Christians will praise this idea of free will and say it's so necessary. And this idea of being able to sin, as terrible as it is, this idea of being able to sin is necessary for some sort of true relationship. And yet those same Christians look forward to and hope for an eternal state where they will not be able to sin. And yet their relationship with God will still be valid and true and loving and wonderful. I just find that very ironic that the same people who think that the idea of being able to sin is absolutely necessary to some sort of relationship with God look forward to a state where they will not be able to sin. So you want to have the best of both worlds. You want to have God not in control when it's convenient for you, but in control when it's convenient for you. It's really, really funny to consider these things. We'll see you guys next time, and remember to stay consistent, my friends.